with us today Mrs. Sonal Goel, IS batch of 2008, and she has secured All India rank 13th in Civil Services examination. She has held various significant positions in government of Tripura and government of Haryana. She Mrs. Goel has put more than 13 years of dedicated services towards the nation. Mrs. Sonal Goel has also been featured in top 25 women transforming India by Niti Aayog, United Nations, and MyGov in September 2016. She has also been felicitated for many of the exemplary initiatives and social works during her tenure. We welcome you, ma'am, here at Elets Innovation Talk. Thank you so much for giving us time.
Thank you so much. Very good evening. Namaskar to you and to the team and all the viewers who would be watching this interview sometime later. And thank you for having me on this very important talk show.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. So we are pleasure to have you, ma'am, here. And my first question will be on, uh, like, could you please share your journey in bureaucracy since 2008, and what were the challenges and opportunities?
Right. So as has been mentioned in my introduction also that I belong to the 2008 of the Indian Administrative Service and my cadre is Tripura. So just to mention that I joined my training Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in September 2008 and then towards the end of our training in Labasna, our cadres were announced and I joined Tripura in June 2009. I worked there for more than 7 years, almost 7.5 years. I worked in Tripura in various field positions. And then I came to Government of Haryana on inter-cadre deputation. I worked with Government of Haryana for 4 years. And after that, I joined back my cadre Tripura, which is my parent cadre. And presently, I am posted in Delhi as the Resident Commissioner of Government of Tripura. So if I talk about my journey, actually, even prior to 2008, I think the shift in my career because I am a company secretary and an LLB by my professional qualification. So I would also like to mention very briefly about my journey into the civil services. I was actually doing my graduation in 2003 from Shriram College of Commerce, Delhi University. Until that time, I was having that orientation that I would be joining private sector. I would work as a corporate professional or maybe set up my own corporate legal firm because I was also doing CS at that time. So somehow I read about civil services in one of the magazines when I was in third year of my graduation. So when I read about this, I actually felt that civil services is something in which I should at least try and attempt to get into because I felt that it will give me an opportunity to serve to the people and society to do something good for the nation. So it actually jolted me from inside. But then when I discussed this with my family, especially my parents, my father, so a lot of apprehensions came into their mind because we belong to a district called Panipat in Haryana. So which had been a predominantly a patriarchy dominated society, male dominated society. So उस टाइम में लगभग 20 साल पहले मैंने जैसे बात की कि मैं सिविल सर्विसेज में जाना चाहती हूँ, आई वांट टू ट्राई एंड बिकम एन ऑफिसर. तो they could not accept it because lot of apprehensions came into their mind कि civil services में selection is very unsure, it is a very tough procedure, lakhs of aspirants appear and selection is in few hundred. Even after selection, which service you will get, which rank you will get, and after that you will get which cadre, and then how will you settle your family and your professional life. So all these apprehensions came into the minds of my parents, my family, and then they said that initially they did not agree for almost many months, but then when I kept on saying कि मुझे एक chance तो लेना है, please allow me. So then they said, okay, if you want, you appear. But then my father said that you should have a plan B in your life. So by plan B, he meant that if I am not able to clear civil services, then what will I do? Because my professional academic qualifications should not be wasted. And he definitely he had always encouraged the economic and financial empowerment of women. So he said that okay, if you want to do, you do, but then you should have a fallback career option. So taking his advice, I completed my graduation in 2003. In the next year, 2004, I completed my CS. June examinations, I completed my final of the CS. And in the same year, I took admission into LLB from Delhi University. I started law. And in the same year, I started my part-time job as company secretary and I started my civil services preparation. So basically from 2004 to 2007, these three things were moving parallel in my life. My focus was on civil services preparation, but I was also doing law, which was a regular course, and the classes were being held regularly. I was supposed to attend the classes physically. And also, I was doing a part-time job as a company secretary because I wanted to gain some experience also to maybe finance my higher studies to an extent, if not completely. So these things were there, and there were a lot of challenges of time management, of managing the study hours for your law, for your civil services, lot of societal pressures, and I appeared for my first attempt in 2006, wherein I wrote uh, mains, but I did not get the interview call. So definitely, I was very much dejected, disappointed, and kind of unclear कि मुझे आगे क्या करना है. Then after taking a break of few days, I recollected my all strength and energy, and I gave a commitment to my own self that now the attempt which I would appear, this would be my best attempt. So I should not have any grudge on my own self that I did not give my best. So in next year in 2007, I appeared for my second attempt, and with all my hard work, energy, enthusiasm, and dedication, of course, support of my parents, my family, and by God's grace, I qualified and I got into the 2008 batch. My rank was All India 13th. And then I joined the academy for training, and then I got Tripura cadre. So all these years of my experience of maybe prior to being in bureaucracy, being in private sector, and then coming into the bureaucracy, becoming an officer, working in two states, Tripura and Haryana, which are entirely different. One is the mainland northern state of the country. The other is a very beautiful small state located in the northeast region of our country. Languages are different, work cultures are different, the food habits of the people are different. But I think, so my experience has been that wherever you are, if you work with your own commitment, if you work with your good intention, people will support you. And as an officer, it is very important that you become accessible to the people. So I think that is very important that the challenges would be there in all your profiles from my first posting till even today where I am posted. Challenges would be there, but I think two, three things are very important that you should have your team built. So through your team building exercises, you should have the feeling of asperity, the cause, so that you will be able to ensure that even if when you are transferred out, the initiative, the projects would be sustainable. That is important. And the other thing which is very important is that you should be accessible. The officer should be accessible. The civil servant should be accessible to the public. And when we talk about the citizen to government and government to citizen connect, that connect is also very important as far as the good governance or the citizen service delivery is concerned. I think these have been my learning in my all entire 14 years of my service.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And seriously, after means this is quite very much inspiring for all of us. Means your journey, how you went into CS, and then you have just made your mind for the civil services, and your uh, how you managed all everything together. And this is really inspiring, your story, I would say. And your passion for the country is always it remains like it feels like that as today also you are just working really hard to for the welfare of society, ma'am. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So, ma'am, my next question will be, as per your current position, ma'am, as you are the resident commissioner you posted with the government of Tirupura. So, how you're just trying to ensure the overall development? How you can ensure being the resident commissioner of Tirupura, ma'am?
Yeah, actually, I would just like to begin by saying that the profile of being a resident commissioner is actually different from being in the field, right? So my profile is more or less it for a general parlance, I may say that it is an embassy office of the state located in Delhi. So my major work here is to go to the Government of India, various ministries in Government of India, meet with the senior officers, attend meetings, try and get the funds released for various schemes of Government of India, which are being implemented in Tripura. And so this is very important that I uh, kind of represent the state government in Delhi. I attend to various high-profile meetings and then all these kind of, and of course, one very important profile is of the handling the VIP, VVIP protocol, the movement of senior political dignitaries, senior officials from the government, and then of course my work is also to facilitate in maybe organizing some fairs, festivals in the state, or some events of state in Delhi or in the Delhi NCR region. So all these things, treatment of patients who are coming from Tripura to Delhi for AIMS or other government hospitals, and then definitely the general upkeep and maintenance of the Tripura Bhavans. We have two Tripura Bhavans in Delhi, so the guests come from the state, so that regular upkeep and hygiene, all logistics, although all those things actually are now part of my responsibility as a resident commissioner. So I think uh, this follow-up of various issues with various ministries, follow-up for the release of grants of various schemes, getting the proposals submitted, utilization certificates submitted. I think these are all very important as far as state of Tripura is concerned. And I think it is a very important profile, and I try to do whatever best I can do for the state government. So there are various national level conferences, workshops in which I am given the responsibility of representing the state. There are some workshops. So I think this is a very important profile, a very important office establishment as far as the work of state government with the ministries in Government of India, I think is concerned. So it definitely helps in the overall development and progress of the state.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. That's absolutely uh, very much wordful explanation how you elaborated as your current services. So, ma'am, in reference to your previous services also, as you have served earlier in Tirupura also, and you have taken exemplary initiatives therein. So, please kindly brief about your overall experience about your previous tenure in Tirupura. Yeah.
So I joined the cadre in June 2009. So my first posting was as Assistant Collector West Tripura District. That was a profile for my training, my district training. I got opportunity to be trained under two DMs and collector. वहाँ पे we call deputy commissioners as district magistrate and collector. So I worked with the two officers. I worked under the guidance of two officers who were DM and collector. And my independent posting was as SDM Mombasa. That was in 2010. And since 2010 to 2016, till I was in Tripura, I worked almost in field. I worked as SDM Mombasa, then I was ADM and Collector South District. Then I was CEO of Agartala Municipal Council. That is the the Agartala city. Then I worked in State Project Director Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. I was also holding the charge of Joint Secretary Labor Department, Government of Tripura. Then I joined as DM and Collector District Gomti. So District Gomti has a very beautiful, in fact, one of the Shakti Peeths of Hindu by a temple by the name of Ma Tripura Sundari. So all my these postings in Tripura, I think they taught a lot to me. And wherever I was, actually, I had tried my best to reach out to the people. So one example I would like to mention here is about my first posting. I was posted as SDM Mombasa. That was a predominantly tribal subdivision in the district called Dhalai. So when I started touring the subdivision, we could actually locate that there are few habitations wherein there is tribal population residing, but they don't have appropriate facilities in terms of the health, PHC, in terms of school, in terms of the Anganwadi center. So when we tried to go there, so we also saw that. So I'm talking almost now more than 10 years back. So there were some areas wherein you will have to walk down to for 5-7 kilometers one way to reach to those habitations where the people are living. So then I started touring those locations, and I made it a point that our administrative camps, our touring would be generally in those areas wherein there is absence of such facility. So there was one tribal pocket called Maldapara. So we went there and we saw that the school is not working, Anganwadi center is not working, the health PHC is not working because of the reason that the staff, the government officials who are posted there, they are not able to commute there every day because of the distant location and non-availability of motorable roads up to certain level. So then we took the help of the local BSF outpost, and they actually helped us in giving the accommodation for staying of the officials of health, Anganwadi center, school, etc., etc. And then we could actually see that in few days there was so much of improvement that the teacher, the health worker, the Anganwadi worker, they were staying at least 5 days in a week in that area, and then they would come on weekend and then go back on Monday. So at least by this experiment, what happened that the basic services which were being deprived, which were not being run properly, they were being mobilized. And then this experiment I tried in other remote areas of my subdivision. So this became very successful, and these are small, happiness, contentment, and satisfaction which you derive from your service. So this was one example of my work in my first posting, and then there have been so many such examples, and wherever I have been posted, I have tried to work for the welfare of women, children. I have tried to work in the sector of health, education, promoting sports, overall hygiene, and so many things as an officer you can do. And I think my overall experience in Tripura has been very rich. I learned Bengali there. I used to communicate with the people in Bengali, and in fact they started saying me in their local parlance Amader Me. So Amader Me is daughter of the soil. So they started thinking that I am somewhat amongst them. Maybe my education was in Kolkata or something like that. So I think as an officer, it is very important to have that connect with the people, have that connect with the society, and also have your teams built. You should have your leadership quality, which enables you to connect with your people and have your team spirits built.
Yes, ma'am. That's wonderful to know about your experience in terms of Tirupura. So, ma'am, so next I would like to ask in COVID-19, as it was a global pandemic, so we all have suffered a lot. So, ma'am, what were the challenges faced by you, and how you kept yourself also motivated while serving with government of Haryana? You were associated there.
So when there was this COVID first wave, so during that COVID first wave, there was I was posted in Gurugram. I had two responsibilities. I was additional CO GMD, and I was CEO of the city bus GMCBL service. So when this COVID first wave actually jolted all of us, so there were initially no clear cut procedures to be followed. And then Gurugram being a metropolitan, a big metropolitan of the entire country, in which we have migrant workers working from all across the country. We have people from Chhattisgarh, from Odisha, from Rajasthan, from Madhya Pradesh. So there was this kind of a dynamic which we had to address to, that there was this migrant population also. There were laborers who were working on a daily wage basis. There were some people who were living in the slum areas. Also, we have people in Gurugram who are highly educated and who are NRIs who are working in corporate sector. And then, of course, the people who are living in societies, the RWAs. So in Gurugram, actually, there are multiple organizations. Except district administration, we have municipal corporation, which we have police, which is a commissionerate system. We have uh, we have other organizations like HSVP, GMDA. So all these organizations started working in tandem with each other, in coordination with each other. There was daily meeting, and of course our offices were more or less digital, because in GMDA and GMCBL we had e-office already implemented since long time back, since the inception. Even though they were recent organizations, but from initial times only there was this adoption of the e-office system. So that's why we didn't have major problem. But then our offices were online, our meetings were online, and we were working with minimal staff. So that was also a challenge, that your subordinate staff was not available, but then you were supposed to attend office or to deliver the most urgent requirements. And then I was also made in charge of the hospital facilities. So I was supposed to move around and see the hospitals, the bed management, because there were a lot of crises, if you remember, in terms of the hospital bed availability, oxygen, ventilators, oxygen cylinders, medicines, injections, remdesivir. So all these things there was so much of crisis, and I think this critical situation was there. And even during the COVID second wave, I was then posted in Tripura. I had joined back Tripura, and I was posted as a resident commissioner. But I think during the first wave of COVID in Gurugram, we actually tried to attempt a kind of a synergy. So wherein we actually converted the buses of GMCBL, because the city bus otherwise was lying idle. So we converted the buses into the local groceries. So we tied up with the RWAs, and we were supplying the daily essential items of ration to them, vegetables, because we were in any case encouraging people not to move out in streets, not to go to markets. So yeah, our buses were used for that. Our buses were also being used for the transportation of patients, transportation of health team in field. We were also using them for one bus was in fact also converted to this test facility, the COVID test facility, which was a mobile test facility. So these experiments we did, and they were appreciated by the citizens of Gurugram. And also in GMDA, we had ICCC, the Integrated Command and Control Center, wherein we were getting the updates of it had actually 300 cameras located in the entire city. So we were getting information about any violations in the lockdown, if people are moving out. So we had deployed the team of police, health, and 3-4 major departments who were monitoring the information which was being received in the ICCC. We also had an online app in which people could access the information relating to the hospitals, bed availability, what are the COVID cases, number, all those things. So I think the COVID time, both first, second wave, and of course third wave, they were so much of, I think, challenge for all of us to handle, but they also taught us the human values. I think we also saw that how people across boundaries, they have helped each other, how we have seen the SOS messages on social media, on WhatsApp groups, and how people, even without knowing each other, they were coming out and helping. In Gurugram only, we saw how many NGOs, civil society organization, individuals at their own level, they have helped feeding the migrant workers, feeding the slum people, So all these things, I think they have shown that humanity as a whole can rise up to all occasions, and definitely it is the strength of being one, strength of being together, which will help us in moving forward in life. So I think my experience in Gurugram and of course in Tripura was quite challenging, but yes, we all learned lot many things, I think, which we never expected, because most of the things were unpredictable, unplanned, and we were like handling situation as they were coming, as they were coming. But with all our efforts, with all our cautiousness, with all our diligence, I think due diligence, that was also very important.
Yeah. So, next question will be, in this new normal times. Now we are very much into living into a new normal ways after just facing the pandemic. So, ma'am, what are your plannings for the overall welfare of the society?
I think the new normal is for all of us to firstly understand that we are all human beings and we all should have empathy and compassion for each other. First thing is this, which we all should never forget. Second thing is that as far as I am concerned, me as an officer, me as a civil servant, we generally don't decide our postings. I mean, our work profiles are very flexible, and we never know कि हम कहाँ पे कब तक हैं. But yes, there are always some core areas which are always close to my heart, and I always try and contribute, like the welfare of children, welfare of women, working for old age senior citizens, working for overall improvement of the health, education, encouragement of sports, more so encouraging the females to come forward in sports and their own financial and economic empowerment. So I think this is very important that we should have we all should have our contribution in the society in a very positive way. And when we talk about India, India also has this beauty of being the youngest country in the world. So we have this demographic dividend of the young population, which is very talented, which is very innovative. So I always try and request the younger people, the young generation, that whichever career and profession they are choosing, they should also try and contribute towards nation building. Just see people around you who might be needing your help. If you are setting up an industry, just don't work for profit, work also for social purpose, also for the people around you, for welfare of the people around you. So I think, and there are, yes, of course, there are various government initiatives also, government flagship programs also in the implementation of which schemes and policies. We also need the support of the citizens, like Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Abhiyan, Jal Shakti Mission, Swachhata Abhiyan, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Then there are so many, blood donation, save environment, so many things in which you can do something or the else. So I think it is the society's collective responsibility also to ensure that we all move collectively and our nation prospers. And we have a very big potential, I think. A lot many things can be done at our own levels.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. That's very much insightful about your views for the welfare of the society. So, the next question will be upon during your previous tenures, ma'am, with the government of Haryana. You have holded a very important positions therein. So, what was your overall experience while working with the government of Haryana, ma'am?
In Haryana, I served for 4 years. I worked on inter-cadre deputation. I worked in Faridabad as the Municipal Corporation Commissioner. I was also CEO of the Smart City project. Then I joined Jhajjar district as the Deputy Commissioner. Then I came back to Faridabad. I was Administrator Huda and Corporation charge I had for a short time. I was additional CEO FMDA. And then I joined Gurugram, wherein I had those two profiles during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think in Haryana also my experience was very rich and fulfilling. If I talk about Faridabad, Faridabad actually is the oldest and the largest corporation of Haryana with a population of more than 25 lakh. And I think the citizens are very informed, very participative. But Faridabad had its own peculiar problems of resource crunch. The corporation had resource crunch. Then the Swachhata Abhiyan was an issue. And then Faridabad was trying to be selected in the Smart Cities mission of the 100 initial cities of Smart Cities mission of Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. So there were a lot of challenges for me, and especially because that was a first post for me after I joined the cadre on deputation. So, but I had no choice then to deliver. So I tried to do whatever I could. We tried to involve the RWAs, the civil society organizations. We started a campaign for Swachhata Abhiyan, and we started Swachh Bharat, Swachh Faridabad Abhiyan. We started, and also we actually सबके साथ से शहर का विकास, we gave some slogans to connect to the people. And with all these efforts, I think there was a lot of improvement in terms of the sanitation. Faridabad also was felicitated by Ministry of Urban Development in 2017 under Swachh Sarvekshan. Then we were also selected in the Smart Cities Mission of Government of India. So there were a lot many things in Faridabad which we could do. And then I moved to Jhajjar. In Jhajjar, basically, it had been a patriarchy dominated mindset, society driven area. So initially I remember that they could not even accept a lady officer as their deputy commissioner. So then, but then I started moving in field. I started connecting with the people. We ran so many campaigns, especially for improving the welfare of the women and girl child. We started the campaign called Mari Lado, which was an umbrella campaign for convergence between various departments, aiming to improvise the welfare of the girl child. We started initiative called Umang Ek Pehel, which was a convergence between the National Rural Livelihood Mission, the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, and the WCD department, in which the sanitary napkins, which were being produced by the self-help groups under the NRLM, they were being supplied to the adolescent girls who were studying in the government schools from class 9 onwards. So when this initiative started, so we saw in few months the dropout rate of the girl children has reduced because of this issue of menstrual hygiene. There were some issue of the dropout of adolescent girls from the government schools. So then when we started this campaign, there was actually this dropout rate reduction. And then we also started one campaign for improving the safety of women in public places called Jagriti campaign in coordination with UNICEF India. So I think these small things were there. We started a campaign called Sanji Madad, which was a collaborative campaign for actually helping the needy. So we actually set up the Sanji Mother Center, in which we were requesting the people to donate anything which is usable, not the eatables, but anything which is otherwise usable, the clothes, books, shoes, whatever which they could feel that it can be used by, other people. So that Sanji Mother Center was set up in 2 locations in the district. And then I would just mention that when the Kerala floods had occurred in 2018, so from this initiative of Sanji Madad only, we could actually donate almost close to 1 crore of rupees, because that time we started this initiative for donation to the Kerala CM Relief Fund, or there was some relief fund which was set up for helping the flood victims of Kerala. So we could donate almost close to 1 crore of rupees fund from a small district called Jhajjar to the people, to help the people of Kerala. And of course, we donated a lot of materials. So I think these are small things which we as officers, and then of course, in my next posting in Faridabad and Gurgaon, that was basically an urban profile. So there are so many things which you can do, and you actually want to do many things, but sometimes it also happens that you don't have resources, you don't have time, you don't have finances for that. So I think it is also the support of the people which also helps you. That is also, I think, very important for an officer, for a civil servant.
Yeah. So, as you have mentioned just now, ma'am, that you have taken many of the exemplary initiatives for the women empowerment and girl child education. So that's really wonderful to know that you have uh, just just given time and you have thought a lot about this. So that always encourage the woman and the girl child today that they can shine. So ma'am, any of other of the incidences or any of other initiatives you would like to mention regarding women empowerment and the girl child education, any of your.
I think I have covered in Haryana, I mentioned about some of the initiatives in general. Similar initiatives I had taken when I was in Tripura, specifically when I was DM and Collector of District Gomti. Therein, we had taken initiative called Nandini, which was also a kind of a convergence activity between all the departments, Panchayat department, education department, rural livelihood department. So all those projects, we were training ASHA workers, we were felicitating the booth level workers, we were felicitating, the female champions who did good work in sports, in academics. So I think these are initiatives, small initiatives which we can do, and even now I try to promote the cause of the women welfare. So like this year and in fact last year also, through my social media platforms, I started the campaign wherein I was in fact encouraging and requesting people to share stories of women who are doing good work. So they share the unheard stories, I named it like that, the unheard stories. So we see that there are many females, many women around us who are doing silently good work and who don't get recognized anywhere, or they don't get appreciated or felicitated. So my attempt has been to even have their stories covered in some platform, in some media, so that they also feel encouraged, and also other people also can derive inspiration from their life journey, from their stories, that how they are helping each other. So why can't we do? So these initiatives have been there. So I remember that there was one incident of a lady who unfortunately lost her husband, and then earlier she was a housewife. Then after the death of her husband, she learned this tailoring, and then through tailoring she started earning some money, and then just to help and maybe train the other girls of her area, she set up a small silai center at her own residence. And this center was set up by kind of donation by somebody donated her, I think, 3 or 4 swing machines. So those center, then I mean, she not only was running her own family, supporting her own kids, but also she was also training the other girls who were in the similar situation, circumstances, or who wanted to learn tailoring so that they can become financially independent. So these are small stories which we should definitely try and bring at state and national platforms. And I think for women, for females, a lot more still needs to be done, because we have so many young girls who want to do a lot more in their life, but maybe they don't have adequate knowledge, they don't have adequate resources, they don't have equal access to resources, they may not have that education. So all these things matter, all these things really matter, and as a society, lot many things are being done, but I truly feel that lot many things still need to be done.
Yeah, that's I completely agree with you, ma'am. But that's quite impressive that how well, through social media you can influence about the stories, and you are being the influencer. And as civil servant, it's very much enlightening to know about how you are doing about the various for the societies and various subjects you are working on. So my next question is just on, ma'am, as internet, if we say social media is need of the hour nowadays, if we say. So as senior is officer, how you are trying to contribute for society's welfare and to inspire countries youth, especially because especially I would say about the is aspirants through social media platforms?
So I would say that I have quite reasonable existence on social media. So on all my platforms like the Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube channel, and then my Twitter account, and of course LinkedIn and Co, and my own website also. So always I try to share positive things. I always try to inspire people. And my aim of using social media is to help, is to have that positivity in the society. I always, have that saying in my mind that amongst all the negativity around you, you will always find a beam of light. So amongst all the negativity around you, you will always find a beam of light. So I always try to have the positive things being reflected on social media, inspiring stories. And yes, of course, for with the aim of motivating and inspiring the youth of the country, and more so the female to come forward. And when you are talking about the UPSC aspirants, yes, from last say 2 to 3 years, I have been guiding and mentoring many UPSC aspirants. I have been attending to the talk shows in colleges, universities, in school, on online platforms, in academies. So I think that is a very small contribution which I am trying at my own level. But it gives me a lot of satisfaction also. And I see now the youth of the country, they are so much informed. They have so much of information which we never had in our own time. So they already have so much of information. So it sometimes becomes a challenge also for me to, tell them something new which they are not aware of, or to guide them, to motivate them. So in that process, I also learn. So I think my advice to all the young people out here is that use social media very responsibly, post everything with caution, with verification. And now we are seeing so many hate campaigns, so much negativity, so many fake propagandas. Try and not to become part of that. It is not our duty to do that. If you come across any information, if you read any information, you should verify it first and then only post at your own handles. That is very important, to be responsible for what you are writing, for what you are sharing. So I think social media is very important, but at the same time it acts like a double-edged sword. It may also lead to sharing of false information and information which is not correct.
So, as you have stated a lot about the how like social media, we should be responsible about the use of social media. uh, that's very much important. You have mentioned a very important point that what we are posting, we should be responsible, what we are writing. So ma'am, how you are also working to inspire the aspirants, and also I would like to ask like any of your story which inspired you, ma'am, if you would like to mention.
So there were so many examples of women which I saw on when people were writing about them and they were tagging me on social media, that you could not even imagine. Like I read about the first woman truck driver in our country, Miss Yogita Raghuvanshi. A few months back, I read about her. So I think there are so many stories, inspirational stories around us in the society. We just need to be positive, and we just need to keep sharing the positivities around us. I think that is very important. And social media definitely plays a very important and a powerful role in that.
Yeah. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for mentioning your exemplary initiatives and for the enlightening session we had with you. So that's so much inspiring for all of us to have your inputs here in. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you so much. And just towards the end, my message to the youth, to the young viewers who will watch this interview is that have faith in your own capabilities, because there would be many challenges in life, and everybody's life is full of struggles and challenges. So, but I always say an acronym, which I would also like to repeat here. So, which I term as DREAM. So, DREAM is an acronym which I decode. It's like diligence, resilience, energy, ambition, and motivation.
Hmm.
Diligence, resilience, energy, ambition, and motivation. These are very important, and if you try and follow these, you will definitely excel and succeed in your life. We all have that courage, we all have that capability. So let us all dare to believe, dare to make that change, and dare to win. So you need to dare to believe, you need to dare to make a change, and you need to dare to win. I think that is most important. And in the end, my only request is that wherever you are, whichever profile you choose to work in, try and contribute towards nation building, try and contribute towards India, towards our country's progress. Help people around you. I think that is most important. And may we all stay healthy, stay happy. That is my uh, wishes to all of you. And we would be entering the new year very soon, 2023. So may we all stay resilient. May we all stay, upbeat and positive. Thank you. Thank you so much.